Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Judging by the thumbnail that you clicked on, you know that we're back, and we're back to talk about 007 Road to a Million. There's that much to discuss. Believe me, there's a lot to unravel here, and we're slowly unraveling it. And as you know by now, you know the drill. The best way to do that is for me to talk about others. Just talking to a computer, I don't know, there's something wrong with that. So I've invited two guests on today that I dare say that whether you've seen the show yet or not, chances are you've seen a trailer and you've seen these two faces, so you're going to know them. They've walked into your home already. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bone Brothers, Joey and James, welcome to the show.
Hi, David. How you doing?
Hello, David. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. You guys are probably used to being introduced now, the Bone Brothers. Has that become sort of a synonymous brand of yours?
Well, I mean, even back at home, we get called that. Anyway, we're walking to a pub and they'll say, "Here's the Bone Brothers." Yeah. So yeah, but meeting new people is quite funny.
It's quite funny, and it's grown like beyond our immediate sort of circle, if you like. You know, it's quite funny.
Well, gentlemen, let me tell you how we're going to do this, because we're going to go big and small, and what I mean by that is I'm going to ask some big psychological questions. Don't be nervous. I'm a professional, but we're going to also ask them little small, fun ones as well. We'll pepper them in there. But let's start in the beginning. So, which one of you applied for the show?
So I saw the information, the ad and whatnot, and just it sounded great. Fan of Bond, fan of money. And thought, need a partner. Who else better than Little Bro? So gave him a shout, and here we are.
And James, what was your reaction when your brother comes to you and goes, "What do you think?"
I mean, obviously now you look back at it, you're like, wow, I owe him the favour for the rest of my life, and a few quid as well. But at the time, you were like, yeah, it sounds good. I'm up for it. It's not like some dodgy reality show, is it, at all? And could it have been more? Any hesitancy I might have was quickly kind of wiped away. It was such an amazing experience, and like I say, I owe Joe the fact that he chose me to do it alongside him. I'm indebted to him forever. Don't tell him.
It's all right. It's all been written down. I've got the IOU for it.
Oh, I have a feeling, judging by what I've seen on screen, that Joey does keep a ledger, just like the controller of all these moments. So I have to ask the question, because I've spoken to some of the other contestants, your cohorts, if you will, and some knew it was Bond, some didn't know it was Bond from the very beginning. Did you think that this was a Bond show to begin with?
You got little tidbits, if you like, little snippets as you were going through, like the earlier episodes. You couldn't really grasp it, and then they would drop like say an Easter egg in and all that. But because we're so intent on getting the task done or the question right, that soon went out of my mind. I don't know about James, but it was like, do you know what? The task in hand is to answer the question. So although there's something else on in the background, let's get rid of that and get it right.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's interesting. We've had a couple of people ask us online, like on Instagram and stuff, since the show's come out, like, did you know this? And it just wasn't. The clues become a little bit more clear as you go on, but it just wasn't front and center of our mind. Like, you're right in the middle of either doing a really hard task or trying to answer a question. So it's one of them,
But I've heard in other interviews and other discussions online and in the press that you two are both Bond fans. And I always like to say, people with your accents, being a Bond fan is part of the DNA. Every Christmas you're watching James Bond films. I don't care who you are, right? In the UK. So
that's 100%.
Yeah. So James, this question is actually mostly for you, but when you're in Rio and you have to do a particular stunt, I mean, do you get any recognition of, hold on a second, this seems familiar to me? Yeah,
no, that was like that. Being on the cable car and stuff, that was like one of the clearest moments. I mean, even getting up to the top, I was like, yeah, this is becoming very evident now. It's Moonraker, it's like those aspects. I've said before, luckily George wasn't waiting for me on the top of the, but it might have been in real trouble. But yeah, those were the moments as we moved a little, without giving spoilers away, as we moved a little bit further along, certain areas become a lot more evident, you know, and there's just no denying, you know, everybody knows that cable car scene, even if you're not a huge Bond fan, even. So,
and I'm always fascinated by those like aha moments, the revelation of Bond and Joey. So, you know, off to you. And by the way, I've got to tell you guys something transparently before we go on. In the Bond fan community, my channel is a Bond fan channel. I would say that if you break it down, Kamara and Josh are the people that say they want to go on a double date with. Beth and Jen, they want to go on an adventure because they're medical professionals and they would be there to help you. But if they were to have an adventure with pubs and McKellen and rum, it would be James and Joey. So, Joey, at what point do you go, right, I think we're in a Bond adventure?
Well, as James said there, you know, as the levels went on, the Bondness, if you like, ramped up a bit. And certainly, you know, on the cable car, the penny dropped and I was like, here we go. But you know, earlier episodes, there were cars, there were, you know, little scenarios that I thought, actually, yeah, this is Bondish. You know, we start in the Highlands in Scotland, so you know it's Skyfall for me. Which was even then you were thinking, pardon?
Isn't that your favorite film as well?
It is. You're right. You've done your research. Yeah, Skyfall's my favourite film. So we were like, you know, it starts early, but because you are just concentrating on getting it done, that does leave your mind. But certainly the cable car was the big like hammer blow. It was like, yeah, we are. This is Bond without a doubt.
And by the time we got to the Jamaica, and obviously we're in tuxedos, it's literally easier to work out it's Bond than the other way around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was it was good. That was a cool moment.
Well, and especially for the viewer, I mean, you're right. It does get more Bondian as you go through. There's one moment that people are calling it, let's call it a tipping point or a catalyst. And Joey, I'm going to put you in the center spotlight because I've been to the Ian Fleming Villa at GoldenEye, which is absolutely beautiful. You guys look like you were having, but then Joey does the Ursula Andress / Daniel Craig walkout. I mean, if you don't know it's a Bond thing, then you know now.
I don't know how James Bond I actually looked when that was happening. I mean, it was more, I don't know, maybe Mr. Blobby or something like that. It was the thought was there, the idea was there, and in my head, I thought I'm going to look great, but in reality. Well, I'll let the viewers decide on that one, I think.
But the editing was so great because everything and listen, this has been a show, and it should be. Some of the best things in Bond should have a little bit of division, if you will. You've got some people that say, well, it's not quite Bond enough, or it's not what I'm expecting. Some people say it's exactly on the money. What I love about this is the consistency. Is people say, it's cinematic, number one, and that was a very cinematic moment. You're deflecting yourself, but it is. The music is perfect, the way it's edited in. The locations, nobody can argue. They're Bond locations. But the other thing is that you literally took and sprinkled normal Joey and James Bond people into a Bond setting. So people really do gravitate to the contestants. I mean, did you find that?
Yeah, I think you're right, David. I think we've kind of mentioned before. I think it's kind of Bond is Bond at the end of the day. Like we're watching, if we all know and love the James Bond films, and many of your fans of the show will know Bond better than most people. So when you want to watch a 007 James Bond film, that's what you go and do. I think this show is like. I'm not even sure it's half and half. It kind of serves a different kind of purpose. It has all of those things that you talk about, like the production was phenomenal. The people that we work with and got to know, like the crew and stuff like that, second to none. Like all at the top of their game. Obviously, Eon playing a massive role in all of that. So from a production level, it's almost on a par with what you would see in a
Without
film.
doubt.
We've had the pleasure of seeing it on the big screen at the premieres and stuff like that, and it really stands up on that level. And then the other side of it is, it doesn't claim to be anything else. It is an adventure game show. Like it's about real people in there. So that's the other side of it, and that's where I think viewers have that relatable aspect. We all want to be James Bond, but we can't really be. But you can be one of us trying to climb up a mountain or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's it. Like,
as fans, as a football fan, you dream of maybe scoring at Wembley Stadium, or mine would be Stamford Bridge because I'm a Chelsea fan. But as a Bond fan, to be put in a scene or scenario that has been on the big screen, it's like, wow. I'm not trying to be James Bond, but for that split second, I feel a bit like him. And why not? People can dream.
Well, and I think it's funny you're saying dream, because you two came across, and I'm playing a little bit of a Sophie's Choice here, but it's my channel, I can do that, as the most relatable group in there. And I think it's why so many people, and I know this isn't a secret of yours, so many people were rooting for you because they saw themselves in you. It was almost that whole thing of imprinting and saying, Joey had these kind of like Popeye out of the side of his mouth remarks. James is there to kind of catch those remarks. The brotherhood, because I have a very strong connection with my brother. The brotherhood that you both showed through there almost seemed to be an evolution of, you started out sort of two guys in a game show, but you ended this really, really, you're going to excuse the pun, strong bond of brotherhood. So James, I mean, did you feel that? Did you feel like the connection really grew?
Yeah, I think you make a good point. I think, like in terms of Joe and I's relationship, we've always been like close as brothers and so forth. But there's a 6-year age gap, so we've spent much time together. We also live our own lives and stuff. But we've always been friends. But we've definitely become like really, really good friends as a result of the show, and may that continue forever. And I think like the other side of that is, we start to get a little bit, when you watch the show back now as a spectator, as we can, you start to be, I clearly notice us becoming a little bit more comfortable with the journey, if you like not knowing what's going to come, but almost accepting, like, there's no point us trying to guess what's going to come, because we're not going to have a clue. And just on a slightly different note, but equally important, like, when we first started filming the Scotland stuff and that, it was just on the back end of COVID. It isn't that far out of the lockdowns and stuff, and like half the planet. I've said it before. Like, me personally, I'm a very sociable, out there person, but I was feeling a little bit like hemmed in for a long time and not really knowing what's there. So when I watch myself in Scotland, I can almost see myself just getting back into grips with, like,
it's just getting a bit of a relief.
Yeah, let's get out. This is what it's about. This is what, whatever anything else, let's just enjoy. What an experience. Let's enjoy it. And I think that as a duo, that kind of, we just egged each other on,
Joe, you found that as well? You kind of pushed each other through that?
Without a doubt. I mean, it was not, when you're getting pulled pillar to post and pulled through the ringer like we were, you've got to have someone you can feel you can support, like, who's going to be there to support you. And I think without actually saying it, that's what we both did for each other, and we've grown up together. Although there is an age gap, we've always been there to support each other. We might not have seen each other for a few weeks, a few months. James has been travelling for, a few years of his life and whatnot. But as soon as you get back in touch with each other again, it's like you had been apart. And when we were doing these tasks, it was sort of like an unwritten rule. Like, we didn't have to say, come on, but just a little look at a fist pump or something like that, and we got on with it. And he certainly pulled me through a few of the scenarios, a few of the tasks. You know what I mean? That 6-year age gap was showing here and there. I needed a little bit of a boost,
All right, well, let's talk about the danger aspect and pulling you through those moments. Because I think you did that in a very reciprocal way, as brothers would, in protecting each other. But when we're watching the show as fans, you can feel the danger. You can feel even sometimes some of the despair. Just when you think you've done the goal, and suddenly then you've got to walk miles through a forest, bug infested. I spoke to the other contestants, and they said, as hard as it looked, you have no idea what's on the cutting room floor. There are scenarios where you're sleeping in uncomfortable places. Talk to us a little bit about the hardships and the danger that you encountered. James, why don't you go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, like just the length of time, for example, like of each journey for a start. I mean, like the Scottish trek was about 8 hours. I mean, like to get to the first question, like in itself. And anyone that's ever been to the Scottish Highlands, you experience every season in the space of about half an hour. So 1 minute we were freezing cold and getting rained on, and then 20 minutes later we had sunburn. So it was, and that was interesting. But physically, very draining at points, and then like always that mental aspect of knowing that you've got a question, touch wood, on the horizon if you can get there. And then I think like probably the really hard ones, I don't know if you agree, Joe, but like being in the Amazon was very physically draining, because you are like really fish out of water, for want of a better phrase. It's intense it's a different kind of heat. Like you've obviously got the trees overhead, it's very, very muggy, and you're trekking in the middle, and we haven't got a clue where we're going already. We don't know don't know what's ahead of us. It was quite hard, like at those points. But we just try to maintain that aspect all the time of like, let's just enjoy it. Are we going to get another chance like this? I don't think so. So.
Well, that's what was spurring me on, certainly. And I think, James, we could be going home tomorrow, and then it's back to work. It's back to the 9 to 5 grind. Now, it's tough. We haven't had a lot of sleep. We've got a few mosquito bites. We've got a few blisters. But hey, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's a lot of money riding on this, and the experience is out of this world. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, do you know what? Bite down on the gum shield and push yourself on, because you could be back at work Monday and then it's gone.
Maybe that's what it is, because I've been having a trouble quite understanding why whenever you guys showed up, it was almost like your favorite characters showing up on a cartoon. It's like, there they are. They don't happen often, but there they are. Is because you genuinely, even when you're wrestling a snake, you look like you're having a good time. Like, and I'm sure there's safety people there. That no one's going to allow you to perish, I would imagine, in a show like this. Yeah, hopefully. But you look like you're having fun the whole time. Is that fair to say?
100%. It was getting a bit heated in Venice, wasn't it? It was a little bit heated. You watched it on camera.
That snake scene was the one time where we had a little sort of like, a little mini back and forth. But I think it was just the randomness of the task. It was the last thing we were expecting. But, there were moments like inside of ourselves where we were, a little bit nervous about stuff and things. I'm sure, like naturally. But I guess we have a generally quite a positive disposition about life in general. We tend to take the mick out of if there's a joke, the joke's normally on us. We'll take the mick out of ourselves. It's just a natural thing within our family more than anything. And it is, it's just not getting too woo-woo, but it's just about being. We had a lot of gratitude for the fact that we got to have this experience. I mean, like, a lot of people in the world are going through some pretty bad stuff. Like we're getting to do this and for free, and we're going to actually make some money out of it. Like,
the crew and the team at 72 Films and the guys and girls at Amazon and Eon and all that. It just felt like a big family. Not trying to sound too corny, but they couldn't do enough for you. They'd help you out. We just had to go out there and do what we had to do, but they were just so supportive, and it just felt, it was one of the, it certainly is probably, bar the birth of my children, it's the best experience I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, and I know you have to say that about the children, but really, this is the best.
my wife will kill me if I don't say that. I didn't mention her enough on the show, apparently.
Yeah, I know they're going to watch this later. Yeah. But gentlemen, we've got to have a little bit of fun, because this has been deep, heavy Barbara Walters type stuff. Let's go light, because one of the things you may or may not know is there's a whole James Bond community that follows the James Bond lifestyle. I mean, that's what a lot of my channel is about. The watches, the shirts, Oliver Brown, Bogner,
Nice.
Obviously Omega and Peel Cashmere, who gave you the tuxedo. So I got to talk about the clothing and the style of Bond. I mean, Joey, let's start with you. You know, when they're dressing you up for that casino scene and giving you all, what's going through your mind?
It was great. I mean, let's be honest. I don't dress like that often. So slipping that on, the watch, the tux, you felt $1,000,000. You know, I mean, we'd had a long day there. A few days filming, it was tiring. But you slip that on, showered, and it felt $1,000,000. You know, every bit of clothing that we wore throughout the series, it was expensive. It was a brand of Bond, and it just felt great.
Oh, James, same feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've one of the beautiful things about these kind of things we do. We've even managed to blag a couple of the garments that we wore that we still got in the wardrobe now, which is an absolute touch. But yeah, no, amazing. Like you almost don't think about it as much at the time, but when we put those tuxedos on and stuff, it was like, yeah, this is our own little Bond moment.
You jumped to my next question, to which I probably upset a lot of contestants by asking this. Did you walk away with souvenirs? And I know for a fact, because I know brands, that James and Joey, I believe you wore at least part of the tuxedo or the tuxedo tops to the premiere, didn't you?
We certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wore the whole thing. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, during the filming, we were like, if there's a premiere, we'll be rocking these. We'll rock these at the thing. And luckily enough, we were able to. So, yeah, no, that was a.
Luckily enough, we got invited.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can still fit in them as well.
You wore all of our Brown things in Jamaica. I mean, you guys were. I mean, I'm just going to say it. And I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your butt. They kind of created Bond around you. I mean, they really wanted you to sort of look the part, which is amazing.
Yeah, whether we done the brands any justice, I don't know. But we certainly we were lucky enough to have them given to us. I mean,
they're stock.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully their share price ain't gone down. But
I mean, in the Alps, the snowsuits and what we wore, like the Bogner stuff, was just epic. I mean, it was mad to be wearing that sort of gear.
Well, there was a lot of envy going on our part when seeing you all dressed up, but the real envy came seeing the celebration. So we have to talk about, I'll call it the aftermath, but that sounds negative. The post of this whole thing, the premiere. So you're invited to a premiere. Could you fully understand just how big the premiere and the celebration was going to be?
Nah, do you know what? I think that was like when we were filming the show, you're kind of in it and you're going with it, and you're obviously like, you know, it's amazing. You're seeing how like the budget essentially that's involved. It's incredible. But I haven't had a bit of a time away. We knew it would be a big event and stuff, but I don't know about you, Joe. I just didn't have any real like comprehension of how massive it was going to be. Like,
we pulled up at that premiere, like we got picked up in a cab and whatnot, and we pulled up into the premiere, and there was a helicopter, there were Bond cars, you know, the strobes and whatnot, and it was like, hold on a minute, you know, this is a premiere. There's a red carpet, there's paps, there's, you know, film crews and all that. Obviously, we've been filmed for the show, but this is going out live. This is real stuff. You know what I mean? And you know, my wife came along a little bit later on, as did James's girlfriend, and they were like, "This, we did not realise it was going to be this big." And mate, I loved it.
Yeah, and such a great night, amazing night. Really cool.
What I loved about it, and I don't know if you two noticed this, but some of the Bond girls, the Bond girl alumni that are friends with Barbara Broccoli, like Carol Ashby, they actually wound up writing about you in their Instagrams. Just, I'm going to say it, falling in love with you, gentlemen.
we met a couple. We had what a lovely lady. Like, she was the first person we met after watching the show. Like, she had a massive hug. Had a really good chat with her. You know, we're following each other on the gram, all of us and stuff. So, no, she's brilliant.
She is fabulous. Is all I can say. She is fabulous. So, what my wife Hayley, you know, she was like, that is a fabulous lady. That's who I want to be. And it's lovely to be chatting with her on Instagram and whatnot now. And she's a beautiful woman.
She's pure class. So, gents, my audience is going to want to know, because they can watch the show, they can draw their own conclusions. That's almost the easy part. We want to just spend the last few minutes that we have. What's life for the Bone Brothers now that the show is on and it's up? James, for example, I know that you have a wonderful singing career. Because I have a PG-13 show, I can't name all the songs that you've done.
Oh yeah, please don't.
But I do like that you've named them such. But James, why don't we start with you? I mean, what has the show done for you, and where do you go from here?
I mean, it's just been an amazing. I think first and foremost, I like emphasise this whole period. It's very hard to predict what comes next or anything like that. But the key thing for both of us has been like, let's just enjoy the moment. Like, let's enjoy the present. Like we've been really lucky that we've had, in the main, for us personally, a really positive response. Like, and people have been really kind about how we are on the show and stuff like that. So we're really grateful for that. And it's just been a great period, and it feels like it's been a lot of work involved and stuff. So that's incredible. Like for me personally, this month and going into December has been full on, because we're both still working. I'm a copywriter by trade in the day. Joe's an electrician. So we're both managing to fit work around the show's out. We're doing great things like this with you, David. I'm gigging every weekend at the moment. I've been up and down the UK playing festivals. I'm in Glasgow, so my girlfriend Delphine and I are flying up to Glasgow on Friday. I've got a gig up there, and I'm recording my second album as well. So it's full on, like it's full on. But it's the kind of stuff that I love doing. So for me, it's more of it. And if anything, if Joey and I, you know, if anything happens with us going forward, then we're certainly up for it. We're not going to beat around the bush. We had a great experience filming the show. If anything does come of it, we're there. If this is all it is, then we're eternally grateful for it. You know,
Exactly right. You know, I mean, we're warming up for Christmas now. My little girls are super excited. You know, we're meeting, you know, great guys like you and whatnot, and having this chat. And as James said, if something is to come of it, then we're ready and waiting. But if it doesn't, we've had an experience of a lifetime, and what a thing to tell the grandkids.
I still have pitched. Well, I pitched on one of these discussions that, especially someone like the two of you, have cameos in the next season. You know, whether it's consulting with them or you pop up as henchmen. I think you'd be great. You know, Winton Kid type henchmen. I could
David, I mean, fabulous idea. I'm all for that.
we're looking for an agent, David. So if you could,
here I'm available. But and by the way, I would be absolutely flailed by my audience if I didn't ask any guilty pleasure expenditures. I know that you both are responsible with your money, of course, but has there been any kind of little splashes here and there to treat yourselves? Joey, why don't you go first?
We had a nice holiday back in the summer, myself and my family. Just you know, life's got a little bit easier, if you like. You know, you know that you've got some money that you didn't have in the bank. But in honesty, like we're thinking of moving anyway, work beforehand. So boring as it is, it might just be a bit of an extra deposit on a house, you know.
Bring it on.
But you know, I haven't bought an Aston Martin yet.
Come on, man. It's time. What are you doing?
you need to do another show like this to buy an Aston Martin.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Series 2, we like I say, we get a cameo, then maybe that's it.
There you go. James, any new guitars, any new equipment?
I'm about to buy a piano, actually, which is something I've always, like, the time's come for me to get my head down. I know a few chords on piano, but I play guitar. So from a songwriting point of view, I always wanted to play piano. I have actually, not quite as rock and roll, but I've just paid off my student loan, which has been a big old thing. And yeah, Delphine, my girlfriend, who's just, you know, we support each other all the way, but she's been eternally supportive of me through this whole period. So looking forward to treating her. We're going on holiday, for a nice holiday through January and stuff. And we like Joe says, just things are a little bit of breathing space and stuff. Yeah. And just enjoying it.
I love it. Well, gentlemen, listen, we are going to let you live that life that you deserve so well. I would love to stay in touch. I have a feeling that your evolution is going to continue, just a sneaking suspicion. But Joey, James, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Thanks
Cheers,
so much,
David.
David.
Lovely to meet you, mate.
Lovely to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
And of course, this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.